So we'll start, let everyone join me. Okay. So last time we started three tests for instability, for rotator cuff, and instability and impingement test. This was for your rotator cuff and labral lesions. So we saw this three main special tests for them. Today we'll be seeing any instability that has to be detected from the scapular region. Okay, and then few muscles will include an inferior impingement. So for the scapular stability, this has been included in the cervical as well. Okay, so I think so you people are aware about this. This is to determine the stability of the scapula. So for that, we'll see the position of the scapula. Is both the scapula is in symmetry or not? Is some one is so upwardly rotated, downward rotated, or there is some bending? Okay. So in this, what are we going to do is to measure the distance of the scapula from the vertebra. Okay. So we see the distance of both scapula from the vertebra, but we'll see in different position. First, keeping the arm to the resting position, then keeping the arm hand on the waist, and then in the abduction. This three position will just mark. So how we're gonna see is first we have to mark the levels. Is T3 level, T2, T3. Okay, so you'll just mark on T2 level on the both scapula from the vertebra. Okay. Then you will mark on the T7 level, and then the patient is then tested holding two or four other positions. The position are 45-degree abduction, 90-degree abduction, and 120 and 150-degree abduction. So then we'll be observing, comparing it with the left scapula and the right scapula. If we are just imagine at T2 level, there is a 2 centimeter difference in the 45-degree. At 90-degree, 120-degree, you see there is 0.5-degree increase in that in the right side. So what happened? The teres major and minor muscles are working more, so the scapula is outwardly rotated. Okay, so you have to measure is to compare the symmetry of the scapula. Now it's it should not be varying from 1 to 1.5 centimeter. If 5.5 centimeter, it's because of the muscular. Sometimes what happen, that bulk is too much on the right side. They have asymmetry. Normally, we humans have asymmetry. So 0.5 to 1 centimeter of difference is been taken normal, but more than that is taken as a condition, or we have to suspect there has to be some muscle involved in that. Okay. So other is the test for the muscle tendons. In that muscle tendon, during the labral test, I have told you people that we have to check the bicep tendon as well. Okay, because that is the only muscle which is attached anteriorly to the labrum. Okay, so for that, for checking the bicep strength or bicep impingement, particularly to check that, that the name is speed test. In this, what we are doing is we're resisting the patient. The patient will be standing. Okay, the forearm and the forearm is supinated firstly, and then you'll ask the patient to flex it, and then you'll resist it. Okay, so if he says he is having pain in the anterior surface, then it is positive. Then what you'll ask the patient to pronate the arm and then again ask him to flex it. If there is no pain or the pain goes away, then it's a positive sign that bicep tendon is involved. I'll just read it out so that we don't miss any point. The examiner resists the shoulder forward flexion by the patient while the patient's forearm is first supinated. So first, what are we going to do? Ask the patient to do supination, then pronated, and the elbow is completely extended. The test may be performed by forward flexion, patient's arm at 90-degree, then asking the patient to resist in eccentric movement into the extension Well, the arm is supinated and then pronated. So simply, as you can see in this image, the arm is supinated. So now she asked her to do the flexion, but you don't have to like give too much of pressure. The hand has to be in the same position, so it has to be eccentric. Okay, then you just put a pressure and then he feels pain in his anterior surface, in the surface, and then you just ask him to pronate it. Okay, and then again you put the same pressure. If the pain goes from the anterior surface, the test is positive. That means there has to be some bicipital involvement, tendinosis. The tendon is being rubbed against the anterior surface of the humerus, so that test is positive. So whenever the patient is coming to you that I have a pain in anterior surface, then you have done that AC joint spatial test, that you have asked him to do horizontal abduction, but there was no pain. Horizontal adduction with resistance, but there was no pain. So that means the AC joint is not involved. Now, what are the anterior structures you feel that can create pain? So you'll go for the test of tendons, bicep tendon. Of in further, we'll see the clavicle as well. But for now, you have to think that if there is anterior surface, there is a pain in anterior surface, so you'll rule out the bicep. Okay, for that the test name is field test. The other test for the same, but this is for the bicipital groove. Now the bicipital groove is just 2 centimeter, 2 centimeter below the bicep tendon, which is attached to the humerus coracoid process. Okay, so it's just 2 centimeter down. So, or sometimes what happen when someone is outstretched position, where someone is falling down or someone has uh, lifted a very heavy weight. Okay, so that leads to popping out of the bicep tendon, transverse humerus ligament that is holding the bicep tendon. So what happens? This ligament pops out, and they have pain in here. I'll just show you in a picture where they have pain. Just over here, just 2 centimeter below the clavicle, you'll find on the lateral side, you'll find the bicipital groove. Okay, so this is particularly for the transverse humeral ligament. Now you have made them do. Now you have just made them do that test for the bicipital tendon. Now there is no pain, but still they say, see, I know I get pain in upper arm somewhere in a position of flexion. So then you will rule out the transverse humeral ligament. And for that, what you have to do is with the patient elbow flex to 90 degree. Okay, and stabilize against the thorax. Means you have to ask the patient to put the arm on his stomach where the elbow is pronated, 90-degree flexed. Okay, so when the elbow is stabilized against the thorax and with the forearm pronated, the examiner resists the supination while the patient also laterally rotate the arms. So when he's keeping his arm on his stomach, and then you'll just ask him to laterally rotate it while doing the supination. The first position would be this. Either way, this would be the position, or the arm is being placed on his stomach against the thorax, and then you'll just ask him to do supination and lateral rotation. Okay, if there is any pain in that on the area of bicipital groove, or then he feels like there's a pop out feeling he's getting just 3 centimeter below the bicep tendon or coracoid process, then this test is positive. Or if there is an increasing pain or there's some tenderness he feels, okay, then that is positive. So if the examiner palpates the bicep tendon in the bicipital groove during the supination and lateral rotation movement, the tendon will be felt to pop out to the groove in the transverse humeral ligament. tenderness can be present. Okay, these are the two tests we are doing for bicep muscle. For exam, in exam, I'll just ask you what are the special tests for bicep. Write down the special test for rotator cuff. Then you have to include everything: supraspinatus, infraspinatus, impingement. Spatial test we have done last time. This one, knees impingement, Hawkins Kennedy impingement. This was for supraspinatus, peritenoitis, and tendinosis. Even this knees impingement is for the supraspinatus muscle. So you have to remember in that way which muscle is involved in which test, and for what muscle, what kind of movement you will do to aggravate the pain. So you have to understand in that way. So for bicep, supination is the function. Bicep is involved in supination, right? So while doing the resistant movement of that, you will aggravate the pain of it. Then doing the flexion with the supination and pronation, you aggravate those things. So you have to work like that. You have to go through the anatomy and then understand why such type of spatial test has been designed for particular muscle. Now again, one more we have for supraspinatus. This is the main, what we can say if someone asks you, okay, what is the main spatial test you will do for supraspinatus? It should be MT-CAN for this. In this, what are we doing is patient arm is abducted to 90-degree in neutral rotation, and then you just resist him to do the abduction, keeping the elbow or the thumb downwards. Okay, the shoulder is then medially rotated and angle forward 30 degree. So the patient thumbs point towards the floor and the plane of the scapula. So firstly, what you will do, this is not the first position. Okay, understand? 90-degree abduction means the patient is standing in this position. I'll show you. This. This is the starting position. Okay, then you will just resist that patient his arm to go up and then he feels the pain. Then what you will do, you'll ask the patient to come 30-degree in forward flexion, do the medial rotation like this, keeping the thumb down, and then again try to come up. Okay. Others have said that testing the arm with the thumb up full can is best for the maximum contraction of the supraspinatus. Resistance to abduction is again given while the examiner look for the weakness or pain reflecting a positive test. Okay. So this is the spatial test for supraspinatus. What you are asked to do is abduction. We all know the function of supraspinatus is abduction. We'll just ask him to do that and with the thumbs up and then forward flexion to 30-degree along with the medial rotation. We'll ask him to do again the upward motion, the abduction. And there is a pain. You can see some weakness as well. Sometimes there's no pain, but you can see right side is more weaker than left side. There is no contraction of the fibers that much that has been expected. So the test is positive. The other main factor that we see in upper limb is thoracic outlet syndrome. Okay, and this is a neurological condition. We do have some vascular signs in them. We see for the pulse, radial artery pulse. There's a main thing we see restriction of arterial flow or any restriction of the venous flow. So there are some two spatial tests has been done for thoracic outlet syndrome. The first is Bruce. In this, what you will do, you will ask the patient to stand and abduct or take this position. Abduct the arm in 90-degree, lateral rotate the shoulder and flex the elbow to 90-degree. So that elbow are slightly bent in front of you. Now we'll just ask the patient to open and close his hands for 3 minutes. If he's not able to do, then or if he's having any heaviness in the arm or he's feeling weakness or numbness or there any tingling sensation running towards his finger, within that 3 minutes, the test is considered to be positive for thoracic outlet syndrome. Okay, thoracic outlet syndrome is seen just behind your clavicle. Okay, the three arteries and everything is going through that. So sometimes what happens, the scalene muscles get very contracted or stiff. They compress those things, the structure coming in between. So that is positive. So just to rule out that, okay, thoracic, when someone just tell you that they are having tingling sensation or they are having some radiating pain, but you have ruled out all the nerves and you do not find any affection in cervical as well. So you have to rule out this. So you have to see, is there any tightness in the scalene muscle, or then you will just perform this thoracic outlet syndrome spatial test. See, in this what happened, here we are just doing, making him do downward traction. In this, you just have to take his hand downwards and backwards in hyperextended. Okay, and the head is hyperextended, rotated to the opposite side, and then you have to check. Now, just imagine that you have to check this radial pulse on the right side. Okay, so what you'll ask the patient to do hyperextension of the neck and look on his left side, whereas you'll just take his arm backwards. Okay, when you're marching and you're keeping your hands backwards, that way you have just to keep his hand backwards, hyperextended, and you have to you have to palpate the radial pulse, and you have to see with that the movement, is there any absent or there is weakness of pulses you are observing. So that is also positive sign for thoracic outlet syndrome. Mainly, this is the main test is the main. So other is, so this is very rare case where people are having posterior impingement, but there are some cases that you can find like who are doing overhead activities. Some are swimmers or some are playing volleyball. Okay, who are continuously doing overhead movement. So as we know, shoulder is having too much of mobility, so some of the structures get the legs and compressed as well. So in those cases, when the patient is having a history or if he's coming with a pain, but when you ask him what are the daily routines you're doing, and if you find that they have been doing those activities with the overhead, uh, which includes overhead activity like volleyball or playing anything, cricket as well, ball if he's a baller. So those things, if he's been lifting something too much lately, so posterior internal impingement can be a cause. So in this, what we'll do, in this what happened, the rotator cuff impinge posterior edge of the glenoid. Okay, when you'll ask the patient to do abduction and laterally rotate. Okay, so whenever you'll ask the patient to do abduction and extend and laterally rotate, the pain will come. The pain won't come in the anterior surface, but we feel the pain in posterior surface. Okay, the examiner passively abduct the shoulder 90 degree, 15 degree to 20 degree of forward flexion and maximum lateral rotation. In this different position, you'll just see if there is any pain, it's a positive sign. If you say I'm having pain in my posterior surface. Okay. Now this is acromioclavicular uh, share test. This is mainly done in the patient when they have pain in the anterior surface and they sometimes complain of pain on the clavicle as well. So you have to just rule out the movement of the clavicle with the abduction. This last 15 degrees been done, and the posterior rotation happens in clavicle with the abduction. So you have to rule out that first. And whenever there is a pain in the anterior surface, like here, I'll show you, like in his anterior surface, when there's the clavicle and acromial just meet, so there is a spatial test for AC joint that you do. With this, what you'll ask the patient to be sitting position or supine. The examiner cups his or her hand over the deltoid muscle with one hand clavicle and one hand on the spine of scapula. The examiner then squeezes the heel of the hand together. The positive indicates the pain and abdominal movement of AC joint. Okay. So in this is not the image of this. Do not look at this. Just listen to what I'm saying. What you have to do is you have to hold the deltoid muscle, one hand, and the clavicle and scapula on the other hand. You're just grasping the shoulder from the lateral side. So your thumb will come on the clavicle and the other hand will come on the scapula. And then you just squeeze it very, like you'll just squeeze it. How will squeeze? You'll squeeze the scapula and AC joint together. You're just trying to push it together. So one hand on your clavicle, the other in the scapula, and then you'll just squeeze it. And if he's having pain in the AC joint, it's positive. Okay. This is again a sign uh, majorly seen on the AC joint. Okay, it's again for the AC joint. The examiner stand just beside the test arm and place one hand over the shoulder so that the thumb in under the posterolateral aspect of the acromion and the index of the long finger on the same hand. Like this, you just have to grasp it like this. And then examiner then applies a pressure on the acromion with the thumb. With the thumb, you have to put anterior and superior movement, and while applying the inferior directed on the clavicle. Okay, you just have to grasp AC joint and clavicle like this with the thumb and one first finger. With the thumb, you'll just give a force interiorly, and while giving simultaneously giving force to the clavicle downwards. That will also increase the pain on the AC joint, then it's positive. You don't have to do too much of pressure. Just be gentle and ask if there is some pain. The same force you have to do it on the left side just to rule out whatever you are doing with the right side, you have to rule out with the left side, because sometimes some people are pain oriented, means they are not that strong. Some female or some geriatric patient, even though that muscle is not involved, but due to generalized weakness, they might show some provocating thing. So then you have to just compare and just be gentle with them whenever it comes to the compressing test. The other investigation you can do is X-ray, CT scan, MRI. Okay. This is to rule out the scapula. So now this spatial test has been clear to you all, shoulder spatial test. Any doubt in this? Anyone? Any doubt?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so next lecture, I'll be asking you all few questions. So be ready with the shoulder joint. Just go through this slide. Okay. More than the slide, you have to go through the book, Maggie, because there are some few more tests. Okay. So now everyone has to come up with one new spatial test that has been given in the Maggie, which we did not include it. I have a list of that name. So we will discuss that as well. So you just go through it. So even I know when I'm, because I don't have the slide of it, but we have in the Maggie. So I'll get some screenshot or something. I'll just share with you that. But on your side, what you can do, you have all the spatial tests I have included in this. We have this, but on contrary, we have some more as well, and they are important. So just go through that and get some one at least each so that we can discuss. Okay, will that be okay? Hmm?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, then see you on next lecture.
Okay. Ji, ma'am.
Okay.